Want to improve your CSS skills and create more visually appealing designs? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to our deep dive into the world of cascading style sheets, or CSS as we all know it. This powerful language is the stylist of the web, the artist behind the scenes, bringing life and color to the otherwise monotonous HTML pages. It's the magic that turns raw code into a visually delightful user experience. It's the tool that front-end developers wield to craft masterpieces on the digital canvas of a web page. Why is CSS so crucial, you ask? Well, without it, we'd be stuck in the digital Stone Age with plain text on a barren background. But with it, the possibilities are endless. From animation effects to responsive layouts and everything in between, CSS is the cornerstone of visually appealing designs. Stay tuned as we delve into some unmatched CSS tips and tricks to elevate your front-end development game. Ever wondered why CSS stands for cascading style sheets? Let's understand this crucial aspect. In the realm of CSS, the term cascade refers to the process of blending styles and resolving potential conflicts between various style rules. Picture a waterfall, cascading down, each drop of water representing a single CSS rule. When multiple drops or rules target the same element, the cascade determines which rule takes precedence. This cascading process is based on three factors: importance, specificity, and source order. Importance gives priority to user-important and author-important rules. Specificity comes next, favoring more specific selectors. Lastly, source order decides when importance and specificity are equal. The rule declared last wins. Understanding this cascading mechanism is like unlocking the secret sauce of CSS. It enables you to predict how your styles will be applied and helps prevent potential styling conflicts. Mastering the cascade will set a solid foundation for your CSS journey. Up next, specificity. Ever been baffled why some styles don't apply as expected? The culprit might be CSS specificity. Let's dive into the world of CSS specificity. It's a concept that can often be the source of much confusion and frustration for developers. But once you grasp it, it becomes a powerful tool in your CSS arsenal. So what is CSS specificity? Think of it as a system of point scoring. Each selector in your CSS has a certain weight or specificity. When multiple rules could apply to an element, the browser uses these scores to determine which one takes precedence. The hierarchy goes like this. Inline styles carry the most weight, followed by IDs, then classes, attributes and pseudo-classes, and finally, element names and pseudo-elements. A common analogy used is the 1-10-100 system. An element selector is worth 1, a class selector is worth 10, and an ID selector is worth 100. The rule with the highest total score wins. But here's the catch, it's not a cumulative system. It's more like a game of high card, where a single ID selector will always trump any number of class selectors. Why is understanding this important? Well, it's all about control. Specificity is not necessarily bad. It becomes a problem when it's unintended, and leads to styles not behaving as you expect them to. Once you understand how it works, you can use it to be more deliberate in your styling decisions. Here's a tip. Keep your specificity low where possible. This makes your CSS more flexible and easier to manage. Try to avoid using IDs for styles. Use classes instead. This gives you more room to override styles later if needed. Remember, CSS specificity is like a game of chess. It requires strategy, understanding, and sometimes a little bit of sacrifice. But the end result is a more robust, maintainable, and predictable style sheet. With specificity under your belt, you're ready to tackle the next tip: efficient use of shorthand properties. Want to write cleaner, more efficient CSS? Shorthand properties are your best friend. Shorthand properties are like the Swiss Army knives of CSS. They allow you to set several properties at once, making your code cleaner and easier to read. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly are these shorthand properties? Well, they're a way to set multiple related CSS properties in a single line. Let's dive into an example with the margin property. Normally, you would set the margin for each side of an element individually, like so: margin top, margin right, margin bottom, and margin left. But with shorthand, you can set all four values in one line in the order: top, right, bottom, left. Pretty neat, right? Now, shorthand properties are not just about convenience, they also improve the performance of your CSS code. Because they reduce the amount of code that needs to be parsed, they can make your web pages load faster. And we all know how important page load speed is in today's fast-paced digital world. But wait, there's more. Shorthand properties can also enhance your workflow. They save you keystrokes, making you a more efficient coder. So, whether you're working on a personal project or a professional assignment, shorthand properties can help you get the job done quicker. Despite all their benefits, shorthand properties do come with a caveat. They can be a bit tricky to master, especially for beginners, but don't fret. With practice, you'll become adept at using them, and they'll become second nature. Remember, shorthand properties are not a substitute for understanding how each individual property works. They're just another tool in your CSS toolbox. So, continue to hone your skills, learn about each property, and when you're ready, embrace the power of shorthand properties. Shorthand properties can significantly streamline your coding process. But what about when things don't work as planned? Enter debugging. Encountering bugs in your CSS code? Fear not, we have some tricks for you. Welcome to the realm of CSS debugging, a crucial aspect of any front-end developer's skill set. It's a world where the tiniest mistakes can lead to the largest headaches. But with the right tools and techniques, you can conquer the most elusive bugs and polish your code to perfection. First things first, let's tackle those common issues. Ever spent hours agonizing over a layout that just won't behave? It could be a simple case of a missing semicolon or a misplaced bracket. Remember, CSS is a language that thrives on precision. Every character counts. So if your code isn't behaving, comb through it meticulously. Next, let's talk about the infamous z-index problem. Z-index issues can be a real puzzler, especially when dealing with complex layouts. The trick here is to remember that z-index values only work on elements that have a position value other than static. If your layers aren't stacking as you'd like, check your positioning. Now, on to specificity. It's a concept that can trip up even the most seasoned developers. When multiple CSS rules could apply to an element, the one with the highest specificity wins. So if your styles aren't applying as you'd expect, it's time to review your selectors and their specificity. But how do you identify these issues? Enter the world of browser developer tools. These tools, built right into your browser, are your best friends when it comes to debugging CSS. They allow you to inspect elements, view applied styles, and even tweak your CSS in real time. Use them to your advantage. And finally, when all else fails, remember the power of the community. Platforms like Stack Overflow are treasure troves of knowledge, where developers around the world share solutions to common and not so common problems. Don't hesitate to search for answers or ask for help. Armed with these debugging tips, you're well equipped to tackle any CSS challenge, but there's always more to learn. You've gained some valuable CSS knowledge today, but the journey doesn't stop here. The world of CSS is constantly evolving, with new properties and techniques emerging that can help you create even more visually striking designs. What we've covered in this video is just the tip of the iceberg. We've delved into the inner workings of the cascade, understanding its role in determining which styles apply to an element. We've explored the concept of specificity and how it influences the cascade. We've also discussed the efficient use of shorthand properties, which can streamline your code and make it easier to manage. Debugging, a fundamental skill for any developer, has also been a key focus. We've looked at some common CSS issues and how to resolve them. But remember, debugging is much more than fixing errors. It's about understanding why something isn't working as expected and using that knowledge to improve your code. What's next? Well, the sky's the limit. There are so many more aspects of CSS to explore. From advanced selectors and pseudo-classes to animation and 3D transformations, there's a wealth of knowledge out there waiting to be discovered. And let's not forget about the future. With the rapid advancement of web technologies, who knows what exciting new CSS features we'll see in the coming years? Flexbox and Grid have already revolutionized layout design, and there's no doubt that more innovations are on the horizon. So what can you do? Keep learning, keep experimenting, push the boundaries of what you think is possible with CSS. And most importantly, don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's through trial and error that we truly learn and grow as developers. Remember, the key to mastering CSS lies in continuous learning and practice. So, keep coding, keep exploring, and keep creating amazing designs. Until next time.